Yeah.
When you would conduct, 400 tests for a normal petrol vehicle?
Some small number versus some very large number, basically. Yes. So there was a lot of fundamental building required. And our bet was that you have to have a fantastic product for the customer to flip them, but you also need incredibly strong platforms. You need IP. So we had, and this was not typical startup journey. So our journey was difficult because unlike typical startups where you have the concept of minimal viable product, you have this entire theory of get to market fast, fail fast. Think about Ather's journey. First 5 years, 0 revenue, 0 customers, 350 engineers doing product development, nothing to show for it except prototypes.
So did your parents ask you, Tarun, what are you doing with an
They
IIT
still ask
degree?
me. They still ask me, what are those engineers doing? Like, abhi bhi, nobody believes it, that you need people to actually do. They still keep checking. So then in 18 we launched, and then the real hard work began. So we launched a product, good reviews, and we realized there's no local ecosystem. So we can't scale up supplies. So we had to spend the next 2-3 years building a lot of our suppliers along with us. Some on electronics, but a lot of them on things like even traditional auto guys who are not doing stuff for electric. There's a lot of supply chain build-up required across the spectrum. There's a lot of convincing required because Indian OEMs would not even get supply. If you want to get lithium-ion cells, until a couple of years back, it was ridiculously hard to even get lithium-ion cells from external suppliers to Indian market. They're like, India market is not important. Nobody will build and sell EV in India. Why would we sell to? They would not even have offices in India. So it was a pretty fascinating journey. And in this 10 years, the revenue, 90% of our revenue has come in the last year.
Wow.
So 10 years ka cumulative revenue, all of it has come basically in the last year. It's 9 years of build-up and just 1 year worth of actual proof that's finally come out in the
some level of patience.
Yeah.
So, at least Aman is making audio products and smartwatches, Tarun is making vehicles, but Srinath wants to make rockets. And before I let you talk, I have to ask you, have you seen Rocket Boys?
Yeah, very much.
Size is increasing as we are going down the road.
The scale and scope is just going up. We'll finally come to the man who has all the money, Abhay. But Srinath, rockets, were you inspired by Homi Baba, Vikram Sarabhai or Elon Musk?
All of them, but actually my first inspiration comes from, I think we didn't have cable TV at home when I was growing up for a very long time. So only Doordarshan, and PSLV launches used to come on Doordarshan, right? And my granddad used to be in Doordarshan. So I ended up watching them not by choice, but then I grew up as like every kid has this fascination for space, right? So somehow that was there. And yeah, I think it took me a while to realize that I can take the steps to go ahead and build something like that or try to build something like that in India because it took me into electrical engineering, then financial engineering, and then back to aeronautical engineering. Did a lot of things before I figured that there is a business model as well that is possible, right? And for that, a lot of credit goes to SpaceX because they proved that you can actually make commercial products out of space. But when I was in the US, I also realized that there's a lot of respect for the tech that ISRO has developed. So that is actually one slight difference between what we just heard right from Aman and Tarun as well. At least in the space sector, India is not by definition like a bad product builder. You already have credibility at that level. Now your onus is about, okay, now that ISRO has already done all that, where can we take it from here? We are actually having the opportunity to stand on the shoulders of giants, right? So from here, where can we take it?
And I think the government gave you a helping hand by opening up the private sector. So ISRO, in a sense, is actually helping you.
Yes, definitely. I think in 2020, during the Atmanirbhar reforms announcement, so we were all at home. I mean, like most of us, I think I was also at home watching, I think the finance minister talking about it, right? Like she was like actually coming out with slide after slide of what are the reforms coming. And then the very last slide was about space tech. This completely took us all by surprise. And I think that actually translated to reality last year in June when the Prime Minister himself came down to inaugurate in space in Ahmedabad, right? And it is with their help that we have done our engine testing at ISRO. We have opened our launch pad within Sriharikota. So all of those things, at least for space tech, you do need that government support directly. And I think the government has opened it up in a big way.
So when can we expect a 3D printed rocket from Agnikul Cosmos launch into space?
Yeah, I think hopefully in the next 30 to 45 days. We actually wanted to do a launch by end of last year. Thank you. But it's a very new launch in the sense, new launch pad, new engine, new vehicle, and a whole bunch of new avionics. So like what Tarun said, a lot of design in India going inside that. So we want to take our time to get it right. Hopefully in the next 30 to 45 days,
I'm sure we'll all be cheering him on to see the first 3D printed rocket go up there. But Mr. Tyagi, all of these innovations depend on one raw material, which is your chip, semiconductor chip. And there, unfortunately, despite a PLI scheme being launched many months ago, India hasn't been able to make headway. We still don't have a big investor coming on ground. Of course, there are proposals, agreements, etc. Why do you think we are falling behind when it comes to building fab plants or, semiconductor chip facilities? Why is there this inertia?
Chandra, before coming there, just wanted to put some context and perspective to electronics and semiconductor in India. So, if you look at last year's import data for India, oil being number one item historically has been number one. Gold has been historically number two import item for India. But last year, electronics import overtook gold imports in India last year. So that brings us to the point that how Atmanirbharta in this field is important. Now, semiconductors, you just heard the story of, Aether engineering for 7 years or rocket engineering for longer time. So designing and building semiconductors is also equally hard, if not less or more, because you require large working capital for long period of time. The perfecting a design of a complex chip takes 4 to 5 years. Then fabricating it, then bring it out, software associated with. So what I'm trying to come to is, it's a much longer cycle time to design and build a chip successfully. If you look at some of the other countries successfully doing it, like US or Taiwan or Japan or Korea, they have been at it for last 40 to 50 years. And we just talking about launching a, incentive scheme to manufacture chip here in just 1 year. So we have to have patience like these entrepreneurs had to build their business. I can assure you, I just recollect the dialogue of Amitabh from Diwar where he says, "Mere paas maa hai." Taking cue from that, हमारे पास माँ मतलब market है. When there is a market, then obviously the investment in the chip and everything will come. We just have to have little more patience because companies that are building semiconductor chips, they have usually 5-year plans of investment into the fabs, test and assembly, etc. So these are not going to be quick and easy decisions for anyone to come, but we believe that in next couple of months, we should hear the first announcement in semiconductor manufacturing in India.